past number of years, a number of peaceful protests have been overshadowed by civil unrest. However, these civil unrest have brought more awareness to the issues at hand, and the issues being racism and the use of excessive force by police. Like in the cases of Eric Garner and recently Freddie Gray, where in both cases the use of excessive force were captured on video, and in both cases both men died. The use of excessive force is nothing new in the United States, but however, the technology to capture these acts as they happen is. And many people are starting to film police altercations and uploading them online, hoping that the video will have more credibility in a court of law than a police officer's sole testimony. Growing up in South Central LA, I've seen many police altercations where, as a kid, you kind of grew up in fear of police. However, growing up and maturing, you can see things from two sides. And being a police officer is one of the most dangerous jobs in America. And I have friends and family in the police force, and their lives and their safety means a lot to me. However, the idea of police wearing body cams have been in circulation for a long time now. However, because of such cases, the policies have now surfaced much more. But however, many people disagree with the idea because of a privacy issue. Though it's an important thing to talk about, I believe that police wearing body cameras is important and is a good way to start for police to gain public approval and for them to reduce the use of excessive force against civilians. First, I will talk about the cases of Eric Garner and Freddie Gray. Then I will talk about public reaction, and then I'll talk about concerns about body cameras and how union groups have come up with policies to implement them. So let's start off with the death of Eric Garner. According to New York Daily News and New York Times, sources received an interview reports and comments from supervising officers during his arrest, and they failed to note that a chokehold was used. They also stated that Garner was well under control and he was not in great distress, and that comment was made by Sergeant Samantha and Sergeant Adonis. They also stated that his condition was not getting worse and he was well fine, but however, Sergeant Adonis contradicts her statement when she says that she did hear Eric Garner stating that he was having trouble breathing. The New York City medical examiners cited that Eric Garner's death was due to compression of the neck, and a video surfaced by one of Garner's friends, Ramsey Orta, and in the video you can see that Garner was agitated by police because he felt like he was being picked on for many years, and he didn't want to go back to jail. And when Officer Daniel Pantaleo tried to handcuff Garner, he swatted his hand, which led to Officer Pantaleo to grab his neck and take him down. Which he was down there for quite a while in the video, and in the video you can see he stated 7 times that he couldn't breathe. Now let's move on to the death of Freddie Gray. Police officers first saw Freddie Gray just walking by, but then Freddie Gray got frightened and started running, and officers Lieutenant Rice and officers Nero and Miller went after him and apprehended him and then put him face down. And then Gray many times stated that he couldn't breathe, and he asked for an inhaler, but he was not given his inhaler, and it was placed into a police van. However, as this case gained national attention, more facts surfaced. It showed that a video surfaced showing that Frey had trouble walking into the police van, and he was pretty rough. He was roughed up pretty bad. Facts have also shown that the altercation took place between 8:36 and 9:24 a.m. on that day, and the reason it took so long is during the ride, the police officers made many side stops and did not give Gray his medical attention when he asked for it. Attorney Marilyn J. Mosby stated that the officers abused him and they had no probable cause to arrest him because they never stated his cause for being arrested, and they violated police procedure when they handcuffed him and placed him in police restraints, leg restraints, and didn't put a seatbelt in him when he was in the van, which led to 80% of his spine being severed. And now, a reason why these two cases are important is because of the civil unrest and national attention that have been cases during the media. And ever since the Ferguson riots, I guess, there were riots, Baltimore was no different for Freddie Gray. The Baltimore unrest, according to the Baltimore Sun, the regional newspaper in Baltimore, the damage was estimated about 8.9 million, and many of the peaceful protests turned into rioting and looting. Many critics across social media, including the president, were in a press conference, stated that these rioters aren't making any statements, they are just committing crimes, and that, however, it's not nor the problem. He stated that let's condemn these rioters, but let's not overlook the underlying problem. Let's not pretend everything is okay. Recently this month, the United Nations cited the U.S. for questionable civil rights violations for uses such as for the use of police brutality, racism, for the use of Guantanamo Bay, and the death penalty. And a couple of years ago, the United Nations cited the U.S. to make policies to make new policies concerning these issues. However, they have not done any. And Alba Morales, who investigates the U.S. criminal justice system, stated that the fact that the nation is so advanced like the United States cannot calculate a national figure to know how many civilians are killed by police officers each year, or the racial breakdown, is a travesty. And the U.S. Justice Department did not make a statement on this concern. So let's get to the issues. And so body cameras and their concerns. The American Civil Liberties Union cited many concerns that the use of body cameras poses a risk on privacy for many civilians. However, if implemented correctly, the use of body cams can be a great start to reduce the use of force by police. How if implemented, will the footage be dealt with? Another question. And another question is, do police officers have full control of what they record, meaning they can simply turn off the camera? What about in special situations such as domestic calls, and are cameras continuously recording? The ACLU's suggestions for this policy implementation is a police officer will be given disciplinary action if he or she fails to record a situation that has been called into question. Retention periods for the footage should be measured in weeks, not months or years. Footage should be posted on the police department's website. In special cases, blurring and voice distortion is acceptable. Here in California City, in Viola City, and here in San Bernardino County, police cams are actually a good thing because after they were implemented in 2012, the use of force has gone down by 60%, and complaints by officers have fallen by 88%. However, it is important to note that under California law, officers are not required to state that civilians are being recorded, which can pose a question for concern and distrust. However, the results are there, and they can be used to improve what's going on with police brutality and racism. And the reason to bring up this, with all this up, is because I feel like many of us are new voters, and I feel like in the next elections, body cams and police brutality is going to be on many people's campaigns, many candidates' campaigns. So it's important for us to know these facts, and so that way we can go out and vote for these policies to be implemented. So to conclude, I first talked about the Eric Garner and Freddie Gray cases. Then I talked about the UN citing the U.S. for civil rights violations, and then I talked about the public protests, and then I also talked about many concerns that the ACLU have basically made policies for candidates to look over and to implement in their campaigns. And so, like I said, the importance for this is for us to be informed, and that way when we go out to vote, we can be very well informed for these policies to be implemented.